Thank you everybody for coming. We're going to get started. My name is Lionel Chitty. I wear many hats, but specifically for this, I'm the current executive director of the Hicksville Chamber of Commerce and past president for the past 9 years. Thank goodness. Again, I wanted to thank everybody for coming down. When you talk about smart growth, when you talk about communities, when you talk about trying to get stuff done, you can't just think you can do it all on your own. You need to be able to reach out to the elected officials. You have to sit with them, talk to them, reach across party lines, reach out to the community, and try to get as much buy-in as you can. You'll never, ever, ever get 100% buy-in. But again, when people and projects start moving forward, you need to have the ability to be able to answer questions, meet those people's needs, and try to calm it down a little bit. But we have a wonderful panel here. We're starting on the end. Skip me because I'm up here.
I moved you over. So you could go behind the pillar.
If everybody could just introduce themselves, start with Karen.
Karen Montalbano, Walden Civic Association.
Mindy Germain, Executive Director for Residents Forward. We went through a name change, so we used to be Residents for More Beautiful Port Washington, and we decided that really was a mouthful.
I'm Captain Charles Roberts. I'm with the Salvation Army. Our name hasn't changed in 150 years.
I'm Dennis Jones from the Hempstead Chamber of Commerce.
I'm Tammy Williams from the Belmont Park Community Coalition.
I'm Debbie Kavanaugh, I'm President of the Centralized Coalition of Good Neighbors.
Gail Bailey from the Middlelawn Civic Association.
I'm Charles Volger, the Chief of Domestic Champions.
And I'm Linda Henninger, President of Kings Park Civic Association.
Beautiful. So we're going to just jump right into it. Unfortunately, I have to leave a little bit early, so we're going to start a little bit with Nassau, but I think most of the questions are pretty much going to be Nassau and Suffolk and just in general. People ask me a little bit about with Hicksville. I became the president about 10 years ago, and I looked around, and Hicksville does not look pretty. Poking around, I finally got somebody working for the town of Oyster Bay off the record, and I asked them why didn't anything ever happen. They've been talking about revitalizing downtown Hicksville since 1969, and I was born in '68. Same problems, same areas, same plans, nothing ever happened. And when I spoke to him, he said, you need to get everybody on the same page. We had 6 civic associations, the community council, the fire department, the water district, all the electeds, and he said, listen, everybody's still bickering, nobody's going to talk to you guys. It took us 7 years to get a consensus, and they were pretty heated conversations. But again, going through everything, we were able to get to the point where the town knew that we were serious. When we finally made a presentation to the town board, they didn't say yes, but they didn't say no. They said maybe, and they were very surprised that we got a lot of community input to try to push this project forward. So I'll just reach out to the panel in general. What are some of the biggest challenges you've had as far as your journey to try to get something done in your community?
We are a hamlet, so we don't have the type of self-governance that you have out of the village. We're in the largest town in the town of Hempstead. We're smaller comparatively. We're not at the top, and we're not at the bottom of any list of the best or the worst conditions going on. We've had a project going on for 17 years, and they've tried different variations. Our hope now that they were trying to get this downtown project, getting 12 different people, owners, to sell to one developer and make a big major development. That finally they realize is not happening, so now we're moving on to a zoning overlay project proposal. And we're hoping that, and it will encompass more than that, we're hoping that that will finally be able to jumpstart the economy and the things that we need in our community. It actually started in about 2011 when a young man started a Global Needs Revitalization Facebook page, so we really have social media very much involved in what we do. They decided to revive the Civic Association, and that has become a leader in looking at different things to get done. We advocated for a infill redevelopment study that led to a complete streets program, and we're now, 7 years later, it took a while, but we're now at the point of getting to seeing the fruition of that project. The plans are now drawn, and hopefully soon they'll start, maybe 2019, implementing the project. But it's drawing people in. We're still drawing people in. Try to work collaboratively. I think because we had a definite sense that we wanted to get something done, people are much more collaborative in our community.
Yeah, you're 100% correct. I mean, when we started talking about changes in Hicksville, people were like, no, 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 no. We don't want anything to change. We don't want apartments. But then you start talking to them. When Hicksville first started off, guess what? You had apartments over stores. All the war veterans were coming back, and you did something temporary until like the level style houses were built and all that other good stuff. So you just had to refresh people's memory. We'll switch over to this end. I used to live in Shirley, Massachusetts, so I'm interested. What are some of the challenges you face with any projects or anything you guys try to get done?
Well, our biggest project lately was we were building a new facility, and when the town of Brookhaven built that. And as some of you may be aware, we actually had the unique problem of dealing with a village and then having that village dissolve. So we went from no village to village to no village over the span of a 6-year period. And the internal politics of the creation of that village involved multiple local civic groups that were not in agreement with each other. And one of the things that I did and the rest of my organization did to ensure that we got support for the project that we wanted was we took what our core competency is, which was EMS, and used that to reach out to each one of those civic groups. So we started doing presentations at their meetings, promoting public health, CPR, things like that, so that we had our people and our name in front of them, so that we could build those relationships with them. And then when it came time to get support for our facility, irrespective of their differences between each other, we could get both sides to back us. And one of the challenges that we faced is we picked a location that was actually central to the business district of Mastic Beach, because a lot of us want to revitalize the area, and there's not a lot of investment in Mastic Beach. One of the reasons that village was formed was the hope to bring in investment. Various mismanagement issues and infighting prevented that from happening in the short time that it existed. But a lot of us saw the opportunity to put a government-funded, beautiful, well-lit facility that was staffed in an area that needed development as like a tent pole to say, look, we can make this street look better, we can make Main Street look nicer. So while we had individuals that were against that because they were looking for, well, we want to save that property for commercial development, or we want to zone it like this, getting those organizations into a situation where they had to support us because we were with them, we had those relationships with them, sort of tamped that down to the point where we had 1 or 2 people come out and say, hey, we don't want to do this. On top of that, we were able to keep the projected costs low and then design under budget and get the project finished faster, which all goes to help with those relationships. So
it's all relationships. Tammy, I know you've got a bit of stuff going on over there by Belmont. I'll ask you, and try to keep it short. What are some of the challenges?
I will be short. Well, I think our challenges is civic engagement. When you want to implement a project in a community, if you don't have community buy-in, you're going to have years and years of infighting. Well, this goes back probably 15, 20 years ago. So right now where we are is being rushed or being told this is what's good for you, and nobody has a financial plan. No one has a transportation plan. Nobody has what happens when, you know, there's people racing down your residential block. So we're not NIMBY people, we're transparency people, and we want to be included, not told what's good for you. So then when you leave and go on to something else, we're kind of left there with the burden. So that's where we are right now, because we're just fighting the power.
Gotcha. Mindy?
I think what you just said is so true. People want to sleep at the table, and the more that you can integrate the community into what you're doing. One of the things that we've been doing lately is utilizing simple surveys to get input from the community on anything from, does our community want to reduce plastic bags, interested in fees, bans, etc., to revisioning our waterfront. And it's just a way to, a lot of people don't have time for meetings, don't have time to get completely involved. So we're trying to hit it from different angles. We still believe in as much community dialogue as possible, meetings, But we find that the survey is a good way for other people to kind of weigh in who might not be likely to attend those type of meetings.
Well, I definitely understand, we've used a lot of surveys also. As we got closer to our finish line, we had people, and I got very aggravated, we were working on this project for over 7 years, open meetings, a few hundred people come in, and then all of a sudden we get these people who never cared about their community, they had $10 million coming in, how come nobody ever told me?
We just have, we're coming up to the end of our Complete Streets project, and there are people who have been against it from the beginning, but one person seems to have tried to rally up, and the meeting last night with the proposal was not easy.
It's not easy, and I got really annoyed. I'm like, where have you been for the past 7 years? Well, nobody told me. I'm like, do you look at social media?
Did you look at the card that was mailed to you?
Did you hear anything? And I'll tell people to their face, well, apparently you didn't care before, but now you care now. Tell you what, you need to participate. I'm not going to spoon feed you anymore. I'm done. I had one woman come up to me, she's very local on Facebook, and she's telling me what I need to do. You need to build a depository online and a website. Oh, man, I'm not building anything. I've done enough. Here's all the information. This is your first meeting. You need to get more involved. I said, here's my card. Me and Eric Alexander will come down. You gather some folks in your community, and we'll talk. Ask me how long I got a phone call. Never. But again, you still have to, because some people like to be those keyboard warriors, and you just need to. When people ask you, stop listening to rumors. Come to the meeting. You have to come to the meetings. We can't come to you and go knock on your door anymore. You have to come out. You have to participate. Charles, what do you tell us on your end?
Well, often in communities, there's a pervasive feeling of, what can I do? How can I fight the system? How can I beat City Hall or whatever the problem is? And so in our situations, I'm certain in several urban settings, and in our situations, what we do is serve as a non-anxious presence. We're not affiliated with a party, right? So we're political in the sense of we're issues-based, but you know, we've been blessed with this tremendous brand. And so able to walk into a community and have a conversation, and the idea behind, and we train teams of people to have these conversations. And the goal behind the conversation is, what are your hopes, what are your dreams? But we don't stop there. What are your strengths, what are your assets? And help people to leverage their own assets to be the solution to their own issues, to be part of the action plan, to be involved, to be connected. And we're engaging in those conversations right now.
Kenya, how about you? Did I pronounce it right?
It's Gail.
Oh. See, guys, you guys. How much you get?
I answer to anybody, that's fine. You know, ditto to what everyone has already said, but in Middle Island, we have some unique environmental restrictions because we're in the Pine Barrens. So every property in Middle Island is either in the core or the compatible growth area, both of which have severe restrictions on them for the benefit of everybody and the drinking water. That's understandable, but it means that we don't have a lot of industrial projects that can contribute to the tax base, and so that school taxes are relatively high. But if you're careful, you can do things. Doesn't mean that it can't be done. It just means it has to be done carefully. We had success last year. We had ribbon cutting finally for a project that started 15 years before that with the visioning charrette that Eric was with us for. And it actually had to include a culvert for the endangered eastern tiger salamander to go under a road in case there were any tiger salamanders. Now, the group that looks for the tiger salamanders doesn't actually look for them anymore because they're afraid they won't find them. That's right, okay. So anyway, the developer did build that culvert and it exists. And now we're looking for, once that project, that was kind of a keystone project and right in the crossroads of our hamlet in Middle Island. We're seeing that there's other applications coming forward now for the other blighted properties that have been really centered right at the crossroads of our community. So it's an interesting challenge, but again, it can be done. Over time, there are setbacks and you'll have outsiders, either they're people who aren't being informed in their own neighborhood, or they're outsiders, literally. They don't live in your area, but maybe they make a living doing environmental protesting or something like that. Or, you know. And sometimes that you know those causes can be very, very good and very well intentioned. But other times, the people who live there really do know the properties, and they know where the sidewalk is needed and not needed.
Right.
And that's why it's so important to have that local involvement all the time.
I will add, and I can go back to Hicksville, you'll be surprised at what pops up. At the end of Duffy Avenue, we had this big sump, 10 acres. It's a big hole in the ground. We used to put the empty waste containers down there in storage. So the property owner came in and he goes, I want to fill the hole. The hole was what, 40 feet deep? 10 acres. We're like, great, that's fantastic. What do we get from the community? Oh, we're going to have too many trucks coming up and down the roads. And like, you live in an industrial area. What are you talking about? We're going to have too many trucks. I'm like, the guy's spending his money. Yes, he's going to be charging people to put in clean fill. He's got the EPA, DOT on him, checking all the fill that comes in. Well, this is going to go on for 4 years. I'm like, you have a hole in the ground doing nothing. But again, they were very adamant. But we sat with them, and I talked to people, and I said, listen, here are your choices. Leave the hole in the ground, nothing, or do something. What's he going to do afterwards? I'm like, I don't know. He's a business owner. It's his property. But if you're worried about what he's going to do, let's go talk to him. They started doing it. They said 4 years. It took him a year and a half. Phil. Then he wanted to sell it to put apartments. I'm like, nah. Catering hall, hotel, maybe. Apartments, no. The community will kill you. But he was smart enough to understand that he still needed that relationship with the community. So he's turning it back into commercial. So again, those are some of the other things that come up. Dennis, what's going on in Hempstead?
Well, we should know that a lot is going on in Hempstead, and there's a lot of nothing. We
What was that, $2 billion?
had a $2 billion project that was right at the edge. I mean, we even broke ground, ribbon cutting and everything. And we had new elections, turned it around, no development, it was all political. So we had the buy-in of the community. We had meetings going on all different times of the day, the night. We've had high school students, we've had elderly, they've had everything buying in as far as communication. But I think this was a political stoppage, and I think that a lot of those situations will come in communities such as ours, and we need to try to figure out a way where the community leadership and the community members are really the ones that drive, the development. If someone can come in at that 11th hour and be the new elected official and destroy a $2 billion project from something that was zero for over 2 decades, what's going on? I mean, something is wrong with that.
I will say this, you can't give up. I mean, over the 10 years we sat there and we go, that's okay, elections. I really didn't care. I just didn't want to have to start from scratch and go through everything again. But it might happen.
Yep.
But you need to be prepared, stay bipartisan, be able to talk to everybody, because at the end of the day, an elected official, they're going to be elected again. We need to talk to them and say, what can we do to make you look good and help you do your job, help you make your life easier? And they'll tell you. And they'll tell you, listen, I don't like this, I'm going to get beat up for that. Well, we can't get past that. I talked to the community. We have 500 people sign this thing. They say they want it. Would you like me to bring them down to a town meeting?
No.
You've got to be strategic. You've got to be able to talk to these people. Deborah.
I'm centralized that what we did was we had formed this organization by taking all the mini little civic fragment associations and we folded into one. We just got the $10 million
Congratulations.
grant with the help of our town supervisor. And we've had a community meeting already, but our biggest issue is we have a large bilingual population. They don't always come out to meetings, most of them don't.
Road trip.
And it's really difficult because a lot of stuff we have to put out in English and we have to put out in Spanish as well. And that becomes a definite impasse with the community because we also have the overhang of the MS-13 issue in Central Iceland that kind of hinders certain things that happen within the community. So we do a lot of fighting, we do a lot of things. I'll give you an example, like right now I'm fighting with the county executive's office and Jim Cindy's office. And
You're having an intense conversation.
I'm fighting with them. I'm fighting with them. No, it was basically, and I'll give you an example. 5 of us from Central Iceland, we got invited to the International Anti-Gang Conference in Chicago. So we went and we got gang certified and came back with a plan took it to my school district. It's only $5,000 plus airfare and hotel. They'll train 40 people. I said the component I like, which to me is so essential nowadays, is the parent component that school child is constantly missing out. Parent has to go to parenting classes mandated by state code. To me, it was an essential program. Took it to Tim's office. We're working on it for you every time I call. We're still working on waiting for a proposal. Took it to Willem's office. I took it. I said, you got money. Then we had our government turn around and have a conference in Brentwood. Gave Brentwood $20 million anti-gang funding. Invited all CI civic leagues to attend. I got involved in the consent and said, that's a slap in the face. I got 10 kids sitting in my high school that are waiting for murder trial. So, I mean, we have a big issue with the gangs, which hinders a lot of what people are willing to come in and do. And if you come down our current downtown, it's Bail Bondsman, Lawyer's office,
Yep.
all that's in our downtown. And we have a single lane in each direction, and there is no space to widen the road. So I'm really waiting to see what we're actually going to do in this $10 million project. We had about 100 people show up to our last meeting that we did community-wise for community input. But when you have no parking and then can't widen the roads, I don't know what we're going to come up with to do to make the downtown more sustainable and not have the law offices and the bail bondsmen sitting on cars in downtown.
It becomes a challenge because if you go through Hicksville, and I used to live in Central Islip, so by the way, if you go into Hicksville, people go to Hicksville to park the car to go to trip. That's it. We have a very large South Asian community. We have a very large Latino community that only comes out at night. These guys are working, they're going to stop by, grab something to eat, go home, whatever they got, ride a pill. And there's a huge disconnect between all the different segments in the community. You think one way because that's how you live. You think a different way because that's how you live. You need to be able to find those leaders in those communities and have a conversation with them. Say, listen, things are going to change. You got two choices. You can either change and you have no input and you're not going to like it, or you can come out, participate. You're not going to get everything you want. You're not. But again, you have to be able to leverage something because you're the people that have to live there in that community. You have to live with the final result. Whatever you do, don't give up. I mean, I wanted to jump across tables. I remember bending my steering wheel, driving up to the town of Oyster
Trust
Bay.
me, I do jump across tables.
It's like, but you always have somebody, and kudos to Eric and Vision. Lionel, what are you doing? I'm heading up to Oyster Bay when the truck's back. Pull over, take a deep breath, calm down. It's not going to solve anything. Catch them on the side. We got to keep pushing and pushing. I'm like, Eric, I'm tired of fighting. We're almost there. Just keep pushing. So
Juwan said to me, because I left the conference, I got on the phone with the governor's office. I gave him help about half an hour. Juwan said to me, I heard you call the governor's office.
how'd you hear that?
Brian took him. But I gave him, but I said that was a slap in the face. I said, don't have centralized specifically take a half day of work to come to your press conference and then slap us in the face and give us nothing on anti-gang. We have all this gang problem going on in the community, which is a big hindrance to all our downtown development. And when you sit there and you're looking at, okay, well, we need to do this, but this restaurant, this gang hangs out at, and that restaurant, this gang hangs out at. And it's like, okay, but unless the town is willing to go in and have a liquor license taken away and pulled to shut them down. I mean, I had people come to my meetings and say, well, I live above this restaurant, and I can get high on pot because it's coming up through the restaurant floor because the prostitutes and the drug dealers hang out in that one restaurant, and they're smoking. So these are the issues that I face as a community civic leader, and I deal with. And I'm fortunate enough, I'm a community civic leader. I also teach in my school district. So I see things firsthand, and so I live teaching on the community civic league all within my district, where my administration comes to me to get things done that they can't get done.
Right.
So, I mean, I have the insight, I think, in a lot of different areas. But like I said, I'm sitting on the Downtown Revitalization Panel Committee. I want to see things change. But unless they come up with suitable plans to deal with the drug problem, the prostitution problem that we're having in certain areas. I mean, we read in the papers again the other day, we had a homeless guy shot. I'm sure it was gang related.
Just be able to have that conversation and say, listen, I know this money's for development. Can we get part of it for some of these programs?
Well,
you got to ask them, and then you have to tell them.
I'm at the point where I've done my asking. Now I'm at the point where I'm on the phone. So where do we stand? Why aren't we getting what we're doing? And I find the more you squeak, the more you get back from it. You have to do a lot of squeaking, and it's a lot of phone calls and a lot of follow-up, especially when you don't want, when they're not giving you what you want.
And I'm gonna unfortunately say this, $10 million is not a lot of money.
No, but we're also looking for another sewer grant
Okay.
to go down. So we were getting a sewer grant as well, so the sewer grant will go down and will enable us to do second-story buildings
Mm-hmm.
to help cover the other parts of it.
Right.
But again, the biggest problem is traffic, and when the second rail came in, we sat there and said it needs to go above ground. They all looked, I said, but the biggest problem is we're sitting 20 minutes to go 5
I
minutes to
remember.
school. And I sat there and said, I just looked at it, and I sat there at a meeting, and I'm sitting in an audience, and everybody's sitting there quietly, and I get up and speak, and nobody says anything. I was like, you know, guys, you're all gonna complain about it, you all complain, but nobody says it. And like, even in my administration in school, I have people come to me who are teachers in my building and complain about different gang issues that are going on. They all go to administration. And my supervisors sat there and said, well, why don't they come? Because nobody wants to talk to you. They come to me because nobody does anything.
Nobody does anything, sometimes they're afraid, depending on the culture. Sometimes they just believe it's a waste of time, they're putting themselves out there too much.
Yeah, you have
But
to.
you need to, you can't always be the one talking. I tell people when we got close, I said, okay, you 40 people on the committee, you need to go to the meeting, I'm gonna sit in the back. Don't point to me, you need to tell them, because they don't just want, if they think it's just me, well, who's this guy? I don't even live in the area.
No, I
You
mean,
need to get those
I
people.
say to people, I'll give them direction, what to do, how to do it, and if you're not getting the answer that you want, then I'll intervene with you.
Right, right.
I mean, I have set up meetings where I've gone with a certain area, and sat in the police department, but I'll go and meet with them, but I'll go with them. I'll do the same thing with them when I meet with town officials. I'll go with them. I said, but you have to be the ones to make the initial phone calls. Because when they hear from me, it's secondhand all the time, half the time. But, you know, so I do follow with people on community issues, but I do sit there and say, but you have to do anything and say, and I'll follow with you. So if they're willing to do their phone calls or their initial work, I'll follow up with them or I'll follow up behind them.
Now you guys are really in for it. Go ahead.
I'm going to apologize. Some of you might have heard on the stage I lost my voice, which is why I stopped talking. But we wanted to have this panel because, I'm so sorry. We wanted to have this panel because the main thing is to hear from the community people what they need. And then you guys are going to see that you have similar problems. So that's why we're having each person go through. And then we have different developers like Anthony's here with you guys to tell you how the community has worked with developers. I'm trying to push some sound for you guys. Has worked with developers to kind of get things going in the communities. The whole point is for you to hear that there are common issues, but they can be resolved by using the resources that you have in one another, and then finding out what you're missing and unifying together behind that. That's kind of how we came up with the Lobby Coalition. There was just these common goals all throughout Long Island that everyone has. So how do we force, whether it be the state, the counties, just some type of uniform code, whether it's budgetary, financial, policy-driven, what do we do to fix this? And you're going to hear through everyone, you guys can hear amongst yourselves because leadership starts on the ground. How do you fix that? And they can each give their stories to it, and that's what they've kind of been doing. And then from there, where's the gaps, and how do we unite together to find solutions? You're going to identify possible solutions, but maybe you don't have access to that. So maybe, you know, I can't get a meeting with this senator or that assembly person or this congressperson, but if you unite together on the same common goal, but we've seen it work with funding for buses, for housing, universal design. There's all kinds of ways where these things happen. A lot of the things that we talked about today in the breakfast, how hard it is to get mixed use through because a lot of the towns don't have code for mixed use. And Anthony, I'm so sorry that you had to go through that.
I was going to bring him up next. I actually want to come back to you.
And I'm putting him on the spot, but in downtown Farmingdale, his development, kudos to the mayors that have been there through time, but that's what's changing Farmingdale, period. So it's that private-public partnership from the ground up with community support behind it, because elected officials don't like to have to push to do anything if they feel like they're pulling teeth or if there's questions. So let's make them comfortable.
Right.
We all came together, not only do we in this community agree, but we understand regionally this is how we can get this done. Long Island needs affordable housing. We volunteer in this community. We volunteer in this community. Tie us with the partners of the private industry let's get the pilots through because we all agree on it, we know how that works, that makes sense. You educate your residents, and you can do that as a group. Informs, this is why the summit's so big. Because the issues are just common. We constantly, it's a lot of work into it, but we pick themes that are common. That's how you get 1,100 people in a room. The reality of it is those 1,100 people are you guys. And how many people, if you look at the echo of that, how many people you each sitting at this table represent that's not even in the room today? That's what Long Island needs. So that's the purpose of this panel. One of the reasons why I'm supposed to be moderating / speaking in this panel, which I can't still to do, is because I started out at Vision as a civic leader. I was in Gordon Heights. We wanted to get things done. Very similar story to what's happened in Central Islip. I love Gail, and she knows I teach her about this all the time. Gordon Heights is in between Middle Island and Coram. They got done. We were like, hey, we're in the middle. You got to drive past us. Like, what is that? So we were able to pull in the same people that were working on that because it's a unified goal. Let's make all of 25, Jericho, Middle Country Road, whatever you call it, where you are. By us, we wanted to say, you know what, don't leave anything out because that's how you get the displacement. We wanted to make sure each community still had their individual look and feel, but tie everybody in so we're on one accord. And from there, we all came together with the town. We all did the charrette processes. We all used the same people. And that's how the progress got done. That's how this works. And then we found similar groups that were willing to do the type of housing we wanted. Where we could customize between different developers, whether it's Avalon Bay that we saw in Coram, and then Conifer, you guys have Concern. We work, it works on how you want to customize it after that, but get that universal design to it. As partnerships, you identify critical issues that fit everyone. You customize them to your individual needs, and you support one another. That's how this works. So that's what we want to see come out of this.
It's a challenge, and I'm going to thank you 1 second also. You need to realize, in the world that we live in, all right, if you want to have that voice, you get 300 people to show up to a meeting. They're going to listen. When we started ours, we started off with 50, a couple of elected comms. Next one, we did 150. I pulled up to the last one, I was like, is there a football game going on in the school? That's all the football players. They're like, no, the cafeteria is packed. We have too many people. When the electeds want to cancel, I said, no. There's a school board president, let's go to the gym. 600 people show up. They're going to listen. You got to be able to be in that position when a developer comes to you and say, listen, I want to do stuff. Have the conversation. They don't want to go to the town and go through all this process and then 20 people show up at the hearing and go, heck no. He wasted his time. They want to listen. And again, some developers listen, some don't. But you still have to be that catalyst. You have to be that in-between to make it easier for the electeds and the developers say, well, the electeds go, we don't want this. Well, you know, the community will deal with that. But tell the developer, hey, listen, he wants to do this. No, that's not going to work. And if they're smart, they'll listen and projects will push through.
If you start on the community level first, and we've seen the community charrettes that lead first, because you have that conversation with the community first and it's not that outside influence, that works so much better because now when the community, any developer approaches them, the community is already on one accord. They can't piecemeal you guys and cause that, you know, interference with one another where that causes the chaos and then the indecision, oh, well, my group said this group said. You have that community discussion first, and you guys have all seen that work so well everywhere that you're from, and we've seen the communities that don't do that, how well it doesn't. So have that public-private partnership. I'm going to skip out of the room. Thank you guys for coming, but I hope that helps. I'm going to take a minute though.
Take two.
Thanks, thanks everyone for coming.
Hi, I'm Linda Henninger from Kings Park. Just quickly, this is my 19th year of being a community leader in that area, and I'm proud of it. I want a gold pen at 20, just to tell someone who knows. Kings Park is an interesting town. It's a small town. We have spaghetti dinners. We all know each other. We fight, you know, but we go out drinking afterwards. Kings Park Civic Association's been around almost 50 years. And one of the reasons it's been around that long is because we have a lot of issues all the time. We have our industrial area, which has been very problematic for the people that live in the area. We have the former psychiatric center property that when the state shuttered it and walked away, we had a big problem on our hands. The state wanted to put up 2,500 units of housing, which would have destroyed the hamlet of Kings Park. I'm an unabashed NIMBY, I will say that out loud, and like it or don't like it, I am. There's 2 lines, I think, for every civic. Sometimes you have to say no. And I don't care if people say, well, there's a hand, you know, you have bipartisan, no. Sometimes no is just no. No, this is bad for the community. And sometimes it isn't friendly. I ran a dumpflanagan.com for quite a long time, and now the former psychiatric center property is the Nissaquah River State Park. We won that, and it was not easy, and it remains a difficult challenge. But there are times you have to work hand in hand. Civic and chambers don't always get together. If you're going to be honest, they don't always see eye to eye. Right. And the chamber president in our town, a guy named Tony Tandy, is a great guy, and we have been at odds before. But we try to find common ground. We always stay polite. We have a lot of respect for each other. We found common ground recently in our effort to redo our downtown. Just like every downtown, we need sewers. We sat down together, and that's how it started, saying, what do we need to do? We spoke to the county exec, who said, we have to be on the same page. And it really wasn't hard for us, because we all want what's best for the town. We got the 20 million, we've got the plan, we have a vision. Vision Long Island helped us with that. So all I can say from my years of doing this, you're gonna make enemies, and that's okay. Be careful how nasty you are to people, because you're going to be working with those people on another project.
Agree on that one.
But that's okay. I mean, you can still, you know, you can still be tough, but be polite. And you can sometimes get everything you want. You don't always have to compromise. If it's something really important, you just keep moving forward, and you'll get it. That's all I have to say.
I'll just chime back in on that. Every area is different. You know, we sat there and we would have an administration, Hicksville, suburbia. And I said, told somebody, they said, a group of ladies said, come with me. Let's stand here on the corner of New Bridge Road, No Country Road. You count how many cars for the next 30 seconds and tell me, multiply that over the course of the day, this is not suburbia. You go on the back roads, okay, that's a different thing. People were screaming, the train, the train, the train. I said, the train's not going anywhere. You're not going to make it leave. Use that as your asset. Wouldn't it be nice if instead of driving into Hicksville, instead of hopping on the train, you would walk around, stop at some local shops, have dinner, breakfast, lunch, whatever, do some shopping at some boutiques, maybe if there's a trail or something historical, go to the Long Island Puppet Theater or the Gregory Museum, stuff like that. Well, people don't know about that because they're too busy trying to catch that train. There's no reason for them.
Mercy.
I said, look at the area. You've got the train station and you've got the furthest parking lot east. I said, at night, you walk from one to the next. I wouldn't walk under there at night. It's dangerous, it's dark, it's dirty, it's disgusting. You've got people hanging out. Well, get rid of the people. I said, no, not get rid of the people hanging out. Why don't you clean up the area? Because people that do that stuff, they don't want to be in a clean, well-lit area where people who are walking around that care about their neighborhood are walking past them going, what are you doing? I'm calling the cops. You have to go. You don't see that in Garden City. They go to the other areas where they know they can get away with it. And yes, there are some social issues. But again, every area is different. You need to identify those issues, have a conversation with it, and yes, be able to tell somebody no. We've had developers come in, oh, $10 million want to put up a 10-story building. I said, no. Don't, and do not let them get to the point where they get in front of a large group of people and say that, because you will not add another 3 to 4 years to your project, trying to get that consensus. You tell them, no, absolutely not. Rather might not, no, appreciate it, we'll talk afterwards. This is what the community will allow. We sat there for years, we said we want a cap, first we started 800 units. You know what? 800 is a little much, let's bring it down to a cap of 500. The town said, okay, we can do that. We said we want another parking garage. You've got second track coming in from one area, you've got third track being worked on from the next area. I said, you want the chamber support, you want the community support? We need a parking garage. Really, you guys take a parking garage now? Yeah. Well, you wouldn't take one before that intermodal system in Mineola that was supposed to go in Hicksville. But the people at the time said, we don't want it. We've all heard about the parking garage with the town of Oyster Bay issue. And I sat there and I looked at it, and it started when I first became the president. I said, what are you talking about? You're going to make it smaller. You've got 1,200 spots. It's been 40 years. What do you think? It's going to increase? But again, they listened too much, and they were too afraid to say, listen, you know what? We're going to go as high as the building across the street. We're going to make it. That's going to be the, no, let's spend more, go down and everything, and all this other nonsense, because they didn't feel comfortable telling the citizens, it's a parking garage. We have to build it. We had people coming out and screaming. I said, there's only 2 people that have the right to scream. Those are the 2 families that were there before the first one went up. Everybody else, guess what? You bought your house behind the parking garage. Sorry. Sorry. Anybody else have any other additional comments or some other challenges? I'm sorry.
I do want to jump in on that.
Sure.
Because I don't always agree with that. Sorry.
That's okay. We can
We
stop.
we have the industrial area and people that live there, bought their homes there, and yes, they knew there was an industrial area there, and yes, they bought their homes for cheaper because they couldn't afford to live somewhere else, you know, that's not on top of an industrial area. It doesn't, as a civic president, I would never say to them, well, you know, what do you expect? No. We represent, in my opinion, civics, the residents. So we do everything we can in our community to make sure their quality of life is good. So I don't care if the concrete guy has been there for 800 years and my residents, you know, are on that block for 25 years. If he's doing something that's impacting their quality of life, in all likelihood he's not supposed to be doing it, and we're going to fight it. So I don't give in to the fact that, well, just because you went there, too bad, that's what you're going to get. That's not the track I take. We're going to do everything we can. And I believe property owners have rights. Don't get me wrong, I'm a lawyer, I understand that. However, you know, we all live on this green earth together, and these people are raising their families, and they're going to work, and they're paying their taxes, and they deserve to be able to go in their backyard and be as happy as anyone else who's in, you know, 2 acres of land in Fort Salonga. So that's my opinion on
Well,
that.
again, we can have that conversation.
I think having a conversation is so important.
You have to, because you know what, people have told me stuff, I
Right.
didn't even think about it that way.
Right.
And let me just come back to you real quick, because I know what time
One of the ideas that we had was having developers interview with the community, build that relationship from the ground up instead of the top down. We did have developers that we built relationships with over the years that we still keep in contact with. And I think that's important, especially if it's homegrown. If it's someone from, let's say, another country, then it's hard to build that relationship. And then Dennis and I was talking about this earlier. Community development is not a quick fix to a community's problem. It is to build community, and what does a community look like? I have a child with autism and sickle cell. How many people in the community knows that? You know, can he walk down the block to his corner store and order something? Does the person selling him something knows that? So when you build community, you want to feel safe.
Right.
You want to make sure that it's well invested in everyone's quality of life, and that you have people watching out for you. But if you don't have that relationship with developers and they just tell you this is what's good for you, well, how do you know that?
Right.
How do you know that's what you build may be sensitive to one person? Because now you're totally changing somebody's character. So with the Belmont, that's historical. That is 1902. We take pride in that. However, we don't want it to be gated anymore. We're segregated. The whole point of developing a vision plan is to look at it quarterly and say, well, have we reached this milestone? Did we measure this correctly? But we're not even doing that. So we jump from A, and then now we're all the way at 100, and it's just like, wait, back up, slow down.
Right.
Because certain things that we said, we didn't review. You know, we didn't look at what happened in the past and say, well, are we going to fix the bathroom and the sewer problems? You know, it always happens every year. But those are things, NYRA, the New York Racing Association, we bailed them out, well, you guys bailed them out in 2008. You know, they don't pay us taxes, but, you know, you guys fund that. So, you know, we have this issue. We have this issue of studying the market. If an agency like Empire State Development says, hey, this is what we want to do, but did you study the market? No, I didn't study the market. Then how do you know this is going to be successful? Are we going to subsidize another sporting facility? We studied 48 cities. We talked to chambers and other in Sacramento. They did it totally backwards. They didn't go to the community and they said, whoa, we just put this up. Aren't you excited? And like,
No.
you know, how
Because
come
you
this?
didn't ask.
You didn't ask us.
Right.
now you're trying to figure out, well, what would you support? Well, you should have asked me that about, you know,
Should have said before you put the shovel.
before you put the shovel. So that's, and then communities do have voice. They don't want the opposition. They hate me. But they don't, because you do have lawyers who would say, no, I have to act in the best interest of this community, and you have to show me, you know, how is this a benefit and not a burden. And if that outweighs, then by golly, you're gonna have a tough time getting your project through. So I'm not a NIMBY person. Like I said, I'm a TIMBY person, transparency, but you better come with some science, evidence-based, what works, what doesn't work, how can we improve, and by golly, I want to know your kid's name, I want to know their dog's name, I want to know where I can find you at 12 o'clock at night if I have a problem.
You need to be able to put it out there and say, listen, you're not just going to come to my community and do whatever you want to do. Because they will try. And I had people call me, and I'm like, are you serious? I said, you know what? This is the way you could do it, but go ahead. Go ahead. You go up to the town board, you submit your stuff, and guess what's going to happen? Your stuff's going to disappear. If the developer was smart and he went to the community, okay, I have an idea now. Every community is different. You know, we don't have to worry about sewers. So you do. You know, I live all the way out east. I'm on an acre. Okay, I have to drive back and forth. I don't live the same as everybody does in Nassau County. But again, you got to have that conversation.
One of the things I get annoyed about is we don't have a chamber in Central Islip that's functioning, so everything funnels through my organization basically, and I get complaints. But when I deal with the developer and I'm sitting there and they say, well, we want your support, and I turn around and I give them my support, and I'm sitting there saying, okay, but you promised me then A, B, C, D. And then once you get my support and you get your building up, you walk away and you don't deliver what you promised.
Oh, there's no popo for that.
Takes me off to no end. And then they're sitting there and the town comes up and says, well, they want to do this. No, they can't come into my community again. And I will then fight tooth and nail, and my town board knows that I can bring out 300 people if I have to. I know how to do it.
This is the big thing. We had one person come to us wanting to develop. Oh, well, we civic association back on this, I wanted to develop some townhomes, I had this land, it'll be better than land. So we turned around and said, well, we can't just give you backing, we gotta get buy-in from the people around, we'll have a meeting. And the first thing that happened when we had the meeting at the library, the first person walked in and said, yeah, of course it's you, you're trying to do it again. You're just trying to ram it down our throats. And I was taken back and I said, okay, now I don't trust this guy. This guy now is in my books as being suspect, and I'm going to have to worry about, you know.
And then there are developers that because I mean, this particular developer, after saying he was going to put 256 units of homeowner occupied, which to me in Central Islip is more important than rental units, because if people don't buy into our community is not going to change, because we have probably 10 to 15 apartment complexes or townhouse complexes throughout Central Islip. And he went out and lobbied the people off for Lowell Avenue, and the town voted with him to change it to 100 units, and he was supposed to put in $2 million to flip foreclosed houses. He couldn't find a foreclosed house off of Lowell Avenue. Let me tell you, I chaired a CDA for the town of Islip. We have 256 foreclosed houses. He couldn't find one to flip. So he has not spent, and it's been now 10 years, any of the $2 million that he promised to spend to flip in a rotating fund on flipping foreclosed houses in my community. That pissed me off to no end. Now every time he comes up and wants to do something, you ain't coming into my community.
Just here for 1 second. Would you like to say anything as a developer?
I'm scared.
It's okay.
Wait, I can vouch for him, he's a good one.
Because again, I want to be able to show that. I want to be able to show the difference.
Scared or sad?
I said, I'm scared, I was joking.
Lionel, it sounds like, you know, a lot of these development plans came without a community benefit.
So
like nothing was set in stone on.
And this was in writing, and it didn't happen.
We had one, and we had a really good one, and it still failed. And it failed again because of government. And that's really a really big issue with developers.
You got to remember, government works for you. I'm going to say this. Everybody said Town of Lewiston Bay was a town of nothing. I was told specifically, when I started Lionel, there was no way in hell they will ever consider doing any of this, period. No idea. When it started getting closer and closer and they saw the work you did, that same person that told me never called me up and said, listen, there's a grant out there, I think you guys should apply. It's that trust. Let me just say, chime in, please.
Oh my goodness, where would I begin?
Farmingdale.
Farmingdale. Well, Farmingdale was a long
Who are
process.
you? I'm sorry, who are you?
Oh.
Introduce yourself.
Good point. Anthony Bartone, I'm the managing partner at Williger and Bartone Properties, Farmingdale-based developers, Long Island-based developers. And I think that's really the biggest thing to what I'm hearing here, is that we're boots on the ground. We understand the culture of Long Island. I always say if a developer is willing to live in a community he built, which I do, it kind of speaks volumes for that particular organization. That said, I'm third generation Farmingdale, so we embraced the process. The process was long, don't get me wrong. Started in 2006, and my colleague Matthew is next to me, and we said we feel like we're kind of pioneering because TOD wasn't the rage then. It existed elsewhere in the nation, but not so much here on Long Island. We're always a little slow coming up the learning curve. So we felt a little pioneering, but we took a chance on it. The process was such where the village decided they wanted to go through a master planning process, which we embraced. That's fine. We always look to partner with communities. We have a comparable application that we're trying to cultivate in the village of Lynbrook. We like villages because they're small, the people get engaged. Sometimes with big townships, the bureaucracy can become overwhelming. And that's, quite frankly, Deborah, a challenge you're going to have in Islip, that the bureaucracy there is quite overwhelming.
Yeah, but you know, I'm lucky that I have a good rapport with my town council people, so on and so forth. I just get annoyed when I'm dealing with developers and you make a promise and you don't come through. Or you put a development in and say, well, if you have any issues, call us later. So I have another developer in Central Islip who has a quote-unquote senior complex, supposed to be only 55 and older, no kids. Well, I have bus drivers going, picking up kids in the morning. I have the bus schedule. I'm a school teacher. I get the bus schedule for all the buses and where they stop. I mean, I went to town board and said, okay, this is what he's doing, he's lying. And then it becomes a big drug trafficking center where, because of the way his building is situated, we got to look at. So when you address the problems, oh, nothing's happening. Except I got the 3rd precinct because I go to the precinct meetings once a month. And by the way, if you're in Suffolk County, precincts do have precinct meetings once a month with each of the precincts that I go to every month. And if you're a developer, you might want to attend some of those meetings to find out where your area building and what the concerns are, because you find out an awful lot of information at the precinct meetings in Suffolk County. I don't know if Nassau does it, but Suffolk County has a monthly precinct meeting that's for its community. And it's open to anybody who wants to go. But when I sit there and I'm listening to what the police are sitting there saying, and I go back to the developer and I sit there and say, and now I'm going to the town and I'll sit and argue with the town, especially if I watch planning board and I see they're coming up again on planning board. I'm going out to nail you because you're coming into my community, and I'm living in my community for 25 years. I chose to go into that community. Nobody's going to mess with my community as far as I'm concerned as a citizen. And I want the best for my community. And I have, in my community, I have stopped a drug rehab center for coming and going into Milton Retreat School. So you're not putting it there. And I sat there and I'm like, for instance, with the governor's office last week when I argued with his office, I said, you're lucky I don't call Newsday and hold my own press conference. Because, no, I mean, that's what I basically said to him, because it said to his people in his office, I said, because anytime something goes down in CI, the first person Newsday Channel 12 calls is me. I said, I get more interviews with the newspaper than the elected officials do.
If I may respond, one thing I'll say, and firstly, everybody in this room at this panel I applaud, because if you're here, that means you're here for a reason, and you want to see things happen, and you want to see things happen the right way and the smart way. So I applaud you for that. The one thing I'll say though is it sounds to me like you look at developers through jaundiced eye based on some prior experiences. I will just say, and I thank Linda, we're not all bad. So
no, I'm not saying that. But I'm very cautious of what the first set of developers that come into Central Islip. I'm done what they've done, so I'm very cautious. Like I know right now Steel Equity is looking to buy the New York Tech property, all 87 acres. I've already met with Steel Equity and I've had a sit down. I brought in the fire department. We had one little meeting already. I'm still waiting for Steel Equity to come back with a plan because they sat there and said they wanted to do 50 truck bays, and I sat there and said, never going to happen. We don't have the Carter to handle that kind of traffic going down Carlton Avenue or Lowell Avenue. Or if you go the other direction, it's still one lane, never going to happen, so you have to come up with another plan. And, you know, and I sat there and said, we'll support you if you want to work with us to develop. And the one thing I was annoyed about is they put one of the rotten developers on that committee. from the stage to say I put Steel Equity on the committee because you stop in here, but Steel Equity's now going to build this end of the Carter down the other way. It should be unified across the board. So I was kind of annoyed about that, and I sat there and said, okay, why isn't Steel on this committee? Because they should be invited to this committee. And you know, I'll meet with the developers. There have been development projects within centralized that I have supported. Soccer field with Sousa, I supported that project. You know, I've supported the PL. I wrote the grant to build the park in centralized that we did build. So there's a lot of stuff that I want to see happen in CI. It's nothing against developers, but I've also seen a few developers burn the community. And when developers burn the community, they leave a bad taste in the community.
And villages have long memories.
And as a civic leader, I'm sitting there saying, okay, I want to see now, you're coming into my community as a new developer. Let me see what you've done. Where have you done other projects? And
Always
where?
go and visit them.
And I want to go visit, you know. And then if I find out, you know, that you're doing an honest job, you're doing a good job, whatever, you'll get my support. And I'll support you and I'll go back, because I have gone back for developers. But at the same token, once you burn me and burn my community, you've done in my community, because I'll never let you back into my communities. I'll make sure I take people out. And I've been doing my job.
I want to jump in for a
25
second.
years.
When we decided to really get involved with downtown redevelopment, Eric helped us out. He brought us to all these downtowns. We went on his walks and stuff. And then a couple of the civic people, we went alone. Sometimes we went to 2-3 times the same place, just, you know, see it at different times. And what we did was we invited developers to come and look. I walked with Anthony before we even had our first community meeting saying, what do you think of our town? Look at it through the eyes of a developer. And I thought that was positive, that not often I think developers have civics reach out to them first, because we know that where this is going, we know there's going to be development, so we want to have good relationships. We don't want to have, and nothing against Tritech, but Tritech's too big for our little community. You know what I mean? So you want someone who does work like Anthony does in Farmingdale. It's absolutely beautiful. So I think it's important not to just sit back and wait for someone to put something in front of you, but to go out and really educate your community about what's out there. And as for having long memories, the first time I ever got involved with Vision Long Island is when they came to do a charrette at in Kings Park for the psychiatric center. And for about 10 years after that, every time I walked by Eric, he'd go like that, like I was stabbing him in the back. It didn't go well. They lost. Hey, we all work together now. You know what I mean? Like I said, you've got to, you got to keep people close, keep your friends close.
I think the communication is a big part of it. Wherever you may think of somebody or whatever personally, you have to keep that communication open to all of your representatives, all the people that are within the community that are the stakeholders. The people, so for instance, we're the civic, but you have the chamber, and then we know people in the fire department, and we happen to have our own sanitation district. And some of them overlap, and some of them are friends, some of them are, you know, have different views, but, you know, it's that conversation that keeps going and growing that trust that you all want something good for your community. I think it is.
And finding common ground.
Yes.
That's one of the hardest things to do. We're starting to do that right now in Port Washington. We passed an overlay district, a mixed-use overlay district, about 3 years ago, and I still have people who want to throw tomatoes at me when I go to the supermarket.
You want a duck?
You know, to that point, and it's a great point. When we started our project to get a revitalized downtown, so the chamber and the civic were, you know, lockstep, and we stay lockstep on this. But we don't talk for everybody, okay? So what we did first and foremost is we had a meeting, and we had the soccer club, we had KPY, we had the fire department, we had the homemakers club. I don't care who you were, if you had a club, PTAs, everyone was invited. And it was important because yes, we're the civic association, don't get a big head on your shoulders. You don't represent everyone in the world. If you're in civic
And if you
association.
think so, somebody will tell you that you know.
Yeah. So, I mean, that was key in helping us. And then they were able to disseminate it out to their email list. And then they came to the big meeting. That's why we had, oh my gosh, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people. Because and every time we have something change, we gather everyone together again. And people just want information.
And I'll
That's
I'll add this in there too.
Clear,
You gotta
transparent
remember,
information.
except for maybe some villages, government overall does not work quick.
No,
It takes,
Forever.
you might think so, we're doing rezoning in Hicksville right now, and the commissioner wants it done, but it's meeting after meeting after meeting, and change this and move this, and this you can't do, this is illegal. You'd be surprised if you start looking at code. You can't just change stuff, and it's hard for a town, can we just do it here, or should we do it townwide? You look at Oyster Bay, you've got the North Shore, Hicksville, and South Shore. Totally different going from one to the next. So what's gonna look great for somebody else is not gonna work well down here. But again, just be patient and talk to some of the staff for the elections. What's the process? How long is this gonna take? If you're having a hearing, okay, are the people coming to the hearing, are they gonna be for, are they gonna be against, is it gonna be a mixed bag, we're gonna get beat up? Who wants to have something, we're gonna get beat up. But you gotta just be aware, government does not work quickly.
Yeah, but transparency is important.
Yes, it is, yes.
I love when, not developers, but people who want stuff, like I'm battling, the NHL or the Islanders, and they tell me when they're about to break ground, and I said, you're breaking ground when I'm getting married.
So
Okay.
guess what, you're not breaking ground.
So you're not breaking ground because according to such and such section, and you have to, and then they're like, hold up.
Oh,
Wait a minute.
let me call my attorney.
Let me say, what? I can't do something in January. What do you mean? I said, you're in a process. And that process has to get vetted, and it takes 4 months. So by the time you think something's going to happen, do you know how long it's going to take from that? And we're talking about the state. The state moves slow. Okay? You think the town moves slow? You think of it. The state, school districts can't even get windows put in because you got to go through a dormitory process, and then you have to get this, and it has to be.
Who knew there was a dormitory authority?
Dormitory, what? And then you have to go through prevailing wages, and then you don't want to do labor. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna sit here, and you can tell your base that you're gonna get what you want in 2 months, and I'm gonna sit there and be like, okay, I'm walking down the aisle, and you still not gonna get anything because you didn't go through the process.
And they will come back.
And they
Yes. Can we talk now?
Can we talk? I'm like,
Yes,
no,
that's right.
it's been, and I have a countdown clock. I'm like, I'm at 345 days because every day that you wait to talk to the community, I'm gonna put that onto the next calendar, and then the next calendar until you realize that you do not do things from the top down because the people you talk to on the top may not be there, but the people at the bottom will always be there.
I'll give you a quick one. We had an existing building, right? They were smart. They called out to their people, they reached out to Vision, and all of a sudden, the guy calls me and goes, everybody to talk to me. They said, I need to talk to you. I said, well, why do you need to talk to me? Well, we're buying this building, and this is what we're thinking of doing. I said, okay, this is how it's gonna work. You're gonna come before my chamber, then you're gonna go to the community council, and then you're gonna go to local civics. Okay. These guys came in, they had plans, we want to put 18 units in this building, we're going to gut the whole thing, we're going to help you guys maintain the park, we got plenty of parking. It didn't go quick, but it went a lot quicker than trying to fight the community. And when it went before the town, I was there, civic president was there, yeah, we like it. They're like, really? They did their homework, they came to the community, showed us exactly what they wanted to do. Okay, no problem, it's existing, you got everything covered on our end, it's an empty building now, we don't have an issue. They broke ground 2 months ago. Done. Planning and development, oh, okay, yeah, stamp, 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 they're done. Everybody else is like, well, why can't we? I was like, well, did you talk to the community first? No. No, you just said, I'm gonna do, good luck. Go through the whole process, submit all your stuff. We're gonna get a phone call, hey, yeah, you guys know what it is, a hearing coming up, this guy was trying to put a 200 what? All hell breaks loose. I won't even go anymore because I can watch the video and tell you what's going to happen.
I can tell you, we had, in the development zone, we had a proposal, this guy wanted to put up, development wanted to put up a 5-story building with no parking. And he had 100 and some odd spaces behind in a parking lot which he claimed was never being used, but he's one building on a series, the parking lot went around, down around the corner. So what was happening? And like, all of a sudden they realized the first one they went in, we said something. The second one, all of a sudden I'm getting a phone call. Last minute, I'm actually literally shopping in Stop and Shop, talking to the lawyer, and he's going, well, what can we do if we take a story off? I said, you need to do parking. You need to redo this whole thing. But no, you have to really, you didn't talk to us. We're telling you, you need parking. You can't just absorb all the parking for an area. And he came back and the project went down. The zoning overlay proposal came in. He says, see, I told you. I said, no, you still need parking. This is an issue that you better be listening to us. You're not going to get there if you're not listening to us on this particular issue.
I'm just going to jump out to take good care of you. Everybody, thank you very much for showing up.
Okay, so I want to thank you. I want to just twist it around a little. Let's talk about something positive that we've done. So we don't seem like we're just whining. Okay, some of these, it makes you go there. So, all right, so for Kings Park, I'll go really quickly. We added 398 acres to the Nissaquag River State Park. It was a positive thing. Yes, it was like making sausage to get there, but at the end of the day, we got there, and at the end of the day, we thanked every politician over and over and over again, gave them the mic at every possible time, and thanked them over and over again. So why don't we, if we can just pick, something small that you've done, and what you thought really was the key to getting it done, what positive things were the key. Want to start?
I just go back to what I said earlier. To me, the key to getting things done is building those personal relationships with the different sides, so that when you need them to back you, it's not a fight. It's not like people, oh, the developer went and did this without bringing us involved. Building those relationships beforehand, even if it's on unrelated issues, gets the buy-in from people. I don't think that you get things done through warfare. You get things done through cooperation. And in the examples of the projects that I've pushed forward, I've seen things that were stalled for years suddenly move just by changing that attitude from we're going to fight to get this done to we're going to get people to work with us to get it done. And like everybody said, you don't end up getting exactly, I don't sit down and design something and get it done by getting you to buy in. But if I get you to buy in, we're going to get something done. And each of us will have something we want.
And I may have shaped it a little bit, in the process.
Yeah. And finding, what she was talking about in Central Iceland, finding those places where you can steer other things to get you towards what you want to do, I think is what that's about. So when I go to the civic group, I can get support from them. When I go to the civic group where they fight each other on every other issue, I get support from both sides. I mean, that's what it's about.
Yeah.
We have a town park in Middle Island called Bartlett Pond Park, and it has become like just the jewel of Middle Island, because the kids in the local school district started a local history project for veterans. A Pearl Harbor survivor came and spoke to them about almost 20 years ago, and his story was so compelling that the kids felt, oh my God, this is amazing. And the social studies teachers there started a local history project where they started to interview all the veterans who lived in Longwood.
That's great.
And they eventually raised enough money to put in a World War II monument, which had the names of all of the people from Longwood, which is a 53 square mile school district, okay, engraved on a stone. And the people who perished had a special star. Okay, but these were all the people who served. They weren't necessarily killed in action. Okay, these were just people who stepped up to defend our country. Okay, the dream was then, and the project went all the way back to the Revolution and all the way to current history. They started researching everybody from the American Revolution and putting on these online books. And then they said to me, how can we get more monuments? And I said, I don't know, but we will. And then the Caithness plant went in, and there was some money available. And yes, we fought tooth and nail for all the money. We only got a little bit of it in Middle Island. but we put it to really good use, and we sponsored a series of monuments, and the kids had already done all the research. So we had the names, and we put a bunch of those in 2010. Then in 2012, we dedicated one for the Global War on Terror, to which we have now had to re-engrave the backside of the monument because so many kids from Longwood step up to go into the services. We also had to do the Vietnam. Vietnam was interesting because that's the war that a lot of people don't talk about. So we thought we had all the names, and then when the guys saw the stone, they came forward with their names. So we engraved the back and did a surround around those two monuments. And then we were welcoming home somebody. This has become a place where we have events. So we started hosting Memorial Day, Veterans Day. Then we came up with Pearl Harbor Day. We have a patriotic tree that we light red, white, and blue. It's for everybody, Jewish, whatever, atheist, you can come, you know. And we were welcoming home a young man at the park because he was coming out of the service, and his family planned a big surprise for him. And about 200 people showed up with no notice, you know, kids with little red, white, and blue pom-poms and everything. And the Gold Star and Blue Star mothers came. And I sort of knew who they were, but not really. And there's particularly the Gold Star families who, you know, they're Gold Stars because they lost people in battle. They were so welcoming to this young man. And she said, she had never been to the park before, the lady, Cindy said, you know, I love this place. Do you think you could get us a monument? And I said, yes. I didn't know how I was going to do it. Another grant came along, we got that. So it's just, and having a place, you know, we had light down at the old square, we got the light at the corner there, we got the light at, star there, but in the middle there, there's this one little bright spot that you can always turn to and have good community-wide events, and also feel really good as a community about that, even though you might drive through some awful places to get there.
Those feel-good things are important for civics to do, okay?
We're going to convert this to speed round.
Okay.
Okay, sorry.
Well, no, it's okay. It's wonderful things because it's really good to hear about positive things. A lot of things, if you guys don't know me, I'm John Ravitch in Long Island. So a lot of times when you're dealing with planning processes and that, you have hopes and dreams in your community, you can want to beat your head against the wall, having been planned to death, having to deal with animosity, this and that. When you start working with the community and get a community consensus going on, then you're going to start seeing progress. So 3 minutes, because we have so many great communities here, we're going to do 3-minute blasts on the positive activities because we need to stop on a positive note. We don't want to do things for the next year not on a positive note. I want to hear from people out here that might want to chime in on what their struggles might be and hear some best practices from these folks. Debbie.
Okay, we did Kaboom Park in Central Islip. Disney came in and they built our first park, and it was a 50-year-long dream of the community to start building a park. So we now have a football field, a soccer field, and a playground, and working to get the rest of it done.
I think we put that up in 2 days with labor.
Yes, we did.
Yeah, that was a long day. Miss Tammy.
We're still going through the motions, so over in Elmont. But I think one positive is that 2 communities that were always at odds are now finding common ground, and that's Elmont and Floral Park.
And your community meeting the other night, it got a little contentious, having to do with the traffic issues and everything. People are upset, and rightfully so, because you've been saying the same things for years and years and years and years and years. But there was some common ground there where the community did unite in there, and the elected officials are actually listening because they have no choice but to listen.
Yeah, that
Plus, you have a cool
intense
food truck right in front of that
library.
Well, we were able to get one project done, Linden Knolls in 2014 in Hempstead, and that was basically because the area was blighted for a very, very long time. So we do know that construction can take place in Hempstead. But again, it is going to be a long future before we get everyone buying into a big development project like our complete downtown.
In order to make a development project sweet, in order to sweeten the deal, there have to be some give-backs that actually improve the quality of life for the individuals. The building isn't a silver bullet. You can build anything, right? Like you can dye a hot dog, right? You can build anything. So, but it's building for whom to do what in the place. So it has to be comprehensive. So the give-backs, like the Middle Island project, have to be have to signify according to the quality of life. It gives quality of life to a community. Creating a central civic place, it's a beautiful thing. Creating green space, creating local industry, promoting local industry so that the people who currently live in that community aren't necessarily having to migrate. I put that very nicely. I tried to keep it positive for you, John. And so they're internally invested. So whatever quality of life pieces are put in place in the development project, help the people who live there to stay there.
And so
Like we're working on literacy right now. So we have a lending library, we have a homework club, we have a reading room. We're going to start bringing people into that reading room and begin to have conversations about hopes and dreams and actually activate people to be engaged.
And that's really the most important part is doing what the community wants. It's great to have community benefits thrown in, like caking this thing's great, here's some money. But they can't shove money down your throat and force what you want for, this is what your quality of life is going to be.
Right.
So you have to work with the community. The community needs to have hopes and dreams.
That's right.
You have to start with hopes and dreams. Otherwise, you're not getting nothing.
Well, we went through an ugly process getting an overlay district passed a few years ago, and we had to compromise a lot, and so we knew there wasn't going to be a lot of development coming from it, but we took a strategy of like baby steps, and so far one project has come of it.
That's not good.
Okay, but what we've been doing in the meantime is really focusing on regaining trust from the community because it was kind of like an ugly process. And so we've been focused on more beautification stuff, like we launched the PW Mural Project, which is celebrating Pride in Port Washington on the walls of Main Street. We're on our 4th mural, and it's been fabulous. We put planters down Main Street. We got new sidewalks. We've been having more events, like lots of community building, and we're right now starting on envisioning of the waterfront, which I'm going to be calling you guys about. But so we're going to have to go back to that overlay district, and it's going to be needed to be addressed. But I think right now we're in the trust building, community building part of the process.
You can't start anything without that. Charles was alluding to that before. He can go. This guy can go to any civic, you know, in the Mastic Beach area, Mastic Shirley area, and they'll get along with him because he'll at least listen to them. He'll find common ground with folks and try to find a way to move ahead. Not everyone's going to get what they want. That's not the way the world works. I mean, it would be, no, it wouldn't be a good thing. It really wouldn't, you know? But building that consensus where you can start to build that trust and everybody can get a little something that they want. Or at least be happy that that other person's getting something. You know, and then things start to move forward. That's cool.
I'm going to go to a different tack, and I'm going to embarrass somebody who's here. My DCA board member, Rhea Kavanaugh's here. She had a vision for a community garden, a unique community garden. She, like within 6 months, got Nassau County to sign over a lease on land behind our historical society, a garden that everybody participates in. So anybody can come in and garden and help but take from it, but also to have art in it. And then she has also opened it up, and we get the high school students have painted murals on the building of the Historical Society. The Historical Society works with them. We've held events there. So it's become an area that people can go to. That's just a passive area, but it's pretty, and it changes, and people are invested in doing the gardening, working together on it. I think there were 2 other things that we've done that I'd like to highlight, and that is we've done 2 major events for the community. An extravaganza in the spring, which is for the children, and we've had like hundreds of people there. And then 2 years ago we did an Oktoberfest, and it was held in the garden, and it's a wonderful thing because it became something where people came, as somebody said to me, you put food and beer together, and you can't go wrong. That's right. And you can come together and they get to know each other, and they enjoy it.
Awesome. You know, we've been here all day, so, you know, I know people do want to get out. But does anyone have any, now we're going to go back to negative, any struggles, things of that sort, where these like 8-ish folks out there could try to give you some best practices towards?
Actually, it's not a negative. I work with Anthony. We together and the rest of the team focus a lot on community outreach. We're both native Long Islanders. We love where we live. We're very proud to be here. And that's the reason why we're in this room today, is to learn from you. We would like to know what's your feedback when it comes to how do you reach out to the community? Like, what's the best ways? Like Mindy, you had mentioned surveys. We currently are, working with surveys, and we have in-person events and things like that. But anything specific or strategic that you can advice that you can give us on how to? Yes.
The best model and the oldest model is door to door. I know that's not something that everyone does, but I'm telling you, eye-to-eye contact and letting someone know that sincerely I am from the community. Whether Long Island is a community, I don't believe in segregation. So if you're in Farmingdale, that's a hop, skip, and a jump away. I like Stu Leonard's. I'll come from Elmont just to go over there. For
the wine place or the food place?
Both.
Okay.
Anthony, weren't you listening? Food?
Then the focus on the beer.
So, I had a developer send a personal message as a postcard to the zip code. I said, introduce yourself and let people know that you actually graduated high school here years ago. That sparked the whole conversation, like, wow, someone took interest. And then people came out to a community meeting where they had food, not wine, because it was a library. Yeah, but they got to engage.
Right. We do coffee and desserts and things. No booze.
Yeah, but then you build that relationship and having that open dialogue, I think that eases people's tensions to say, wow, they're just not coming to turn my community into, I hate this word, housing projects or, New York City or Queens. I hate that stereotype because I know what that really means. So, yeah, again, person to person.
Right. In Kings Park, how we'll do it is if you have an issue or you want to come in, you'll meet with the civic board. Generally, this is how we do it, and then we'll invite you to a meeting. And we'll get as many people out at the meeting, and you'll present it. We do this all the time. We did it with Toby Carlson not all that long. People did
we do the same
that's,
thing.
that's what you get sometimes. And the same thing with the chamber. You'll meet with them, and so in our community, you just go to the groups, you talk to the leaders of it, and they invite you in.
Right. So you see, there's that whole group of people in the middle that don't get involved, or you don't hear from. What's the best way to reach them?
Basically, what we do is we open up. We run a monthly meeting in my community, and anybody who wants to come into a meeting as a guest speaker is always welcome to come in to speak. If I know you're coming ahead of time, we will hit.
Blast it out.
We'll blast it out through our meeting email, and we'll hit the fire department email, and we email out through all the little organizations. If it's important enough, it goes out to all. So we may put out 6,000 emails by the time we finish with all the different organizations that we will tweet out to or blast out emails to everybody.
Excellent.
I mean, like, we did surveys too for the downtown thing. We sent out over 5,000 surveys through email. We got about 100 back, but we sent it out. So it's not that people didn't know. So that's what we do, and then, everybody's welcome to come, ask questions.
How are you structuring the surveys? Are they open-ended questions, or are they?
Ours are a mix, and we push it out through email, social media, but we also try and look at the different facets of the community. So for example, we'll go and we'll hand out survey cards at the train station in the morning to get to the commuters, but then we'll also go to the Parent Resource Center and hand out survey cards to get to the young families. And so we really try and strategically hit. We don't go door to door. We tend to get at least 1,000 responses.
And if you have a cooperating school district, they will send out to the
school district and by us won't get involved in any development.
It's tricky, but if you have any with the school district, we usually can get it out through the elementary schools. It's a waste of time to do it through junior high and high school because it ends up on the floor. They don't bring it home, but the elementary schools kids do bring it home.
What I would suggest is that you guys do the work yourself. I was in the Chamber of Commerce as president, and our last developer, they did their listening
remotely.
No, they had their meetings themselves. They went to the school, they got the parents, they went here, they had the meetings in the chamber, they had meetings in the civics, but they set them up. They had people on the ground that they employed working for them, and those were commonly known people that were fluent with the credible people, and they went out and set these meetings up. They knew who to contact, they knew who to go. Because if you come to the chamber and you ask the chamber to do all of these meetings for you, you're only gonna get that.
No,
You want someone that's gonna be now, to get you out to everybody, they're gonna be having listening sessions all over the place. You're gonna get students, you're gonna get college students, you're gonna get the high school, you're gonna get the parents, you're gonna get the civics. In Hempstead, there's about 20 civics. So they're not all gonna come to one meeting.
Right, which is
You know what I'm
why
saying?
we're trying to reach everyone.
Right.
What the best way to do it is electronically. I love the postcard idea. I love the
We
surveys.
did the
And
surveys
it's
also
cheap.
online.
The postcards to people homes introduction, I think it was.
That's
Right.
fabulous idea.
That was I think it was less than $5,000, and it touched. In my community, I have less than 9,000 homes, but the targeted area of where you want to develop, and the post office gives you that zone. And people were like, wow, somebody took time out to send me a nice personal card. Even, I know you can't literally write it, but you know, put your little initial on it or something.
I think it depends on the community.
Yeah.
Because if you came into Kings Park and you set something up without having it under the umbrella of the known community groups, they're going to be very suspicious of you. We had an issue in the industrial area where the people that wanted to do something decided they were going to hold their own meeting, and they had to cancel because, no one knew, people would say to the civic, what's going on there? People would say to the other groups, what's going on there? We'd be like, well, we don't know.
Right.
And they don't like that.
Well, that's why you.
So I really
that's
think
why
it
you
depends
meet
on
with the
where you
leaders
are.
first.
It's all
I
the
agree
above.
with that.
Meet with the leaders first, and then go ahead.
Yeah.
Because in certain communities, you have the leaderships that have a bad taste with everything, and community people don't even trust the leadership. So that's where you'll have that problem. If that guy is involved with you guys, I'm not coming.
And
So
those
you don't want that,
And those community leaders can also help direct you as to who people,
Those key
where to
people
go,
to go.
how you might be able to go about it.
Yeah.
And it's not, as we know, it's not a one-size-fits-all.
Nope,
Yeah,
not at
every
all.
community needs to.
Right,
It's like when
especially
the town directors deal like with TV, I reached out to the fire department, the ambulance corps, the PTAs, whatever. Brought out, and I brought everybody in because I have the core information of who to go to.
a lot of what you guys are saying is great because we already do that. Really, really is awesome to hear. And then that extra info on really how to reach the people that are in the middle, that are kind of untouchable, or either care or don't care, or are unpredictable. And we know every single village is different. So that was very helpful. So thank you for that advice. We appreciate it. And we'll be in touch, obviously.
Please, Baldwin wants developers, so please be in touch with them.
Driving around.
Yes.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
know you don't want Fort Washington. We don't let you go high enough.
It's fine. We'll go north. That's okay.
We'd love to have you come visit.
Great.
Anyone have we're supposed to go to 4, but come on now. Let's be serious. I mean, we had, almost 8 hours of a lot of stuff.
Yeah, it was real.
You know what I mean? Does anyone have any closing thoughts or things to sort of close?
3.2.
We tried.
And
We tried.
I'm going to plug Mystic Future.
No, we tried.
I have
You know what,
I'll take it all.
I want to add
Library.
I want to add one more thing. It's very good to have a good relationship with your planning department. And I may fight with everyone on the board, whatever, but you'll never see me irritate someone from the planning department.
Right.
Because, there's a lot going on in everyone's life. We're all volunteers. You want to have a relationship where someone will call you and say, this might be something the civic might be interested in.
Right.
I mean, you want to have, there's got to be some solid relationships that you have with certain government officials, and if there's only going to be one, let it be planning.
All right. Thank you, folks. Thank you for coming. See you next year.